Today we're going to be making poor man's burnt ends. Now, burnt ends are apparently a kind of marbled, fatty part of barbecue brisket. When you smoke it a certain way, it becomes burnt and kind of crispy and caramelized, and it's going to be amazing. However, poor man's burnt ends are when peasants like me can't afford brisket and don't have 16 or 18 hours to smoke it in your backyard. So what we're going to do is use a chuck roast, which is actually a pretty non-affordable cut of meat. It's actually pretty expensive, so I'm not sure why it's called poor man's burnt ends, because that doesn't really make any sense.
My fiance really wants me to get a Traeger, but I'm making poor man's burnt ends. Why does she think I can afford a Traeger? So I'm going to be using my Weber kettle today.
Let's take a look at our meat.
I have a feeling this is going to be pretty good because of all the marbling. It probably weighs about 3 or 4 pounds. Make sure to coat the cut entirely. You can even use the sides to kind of soak up the bits that fall onto the rest of the pan. Make sure to use all that seasoning and get in the cracks and crevices so the flavor permeates throughout the entire piece of meat.
We need a couple things to get the job done today. Hickory wood chips, which are supposed to be really good for beef. Our chimney, which we can light the charcoals in nice and evenly and quickly. And of course, the charcoal. These are briquettes. They're going to provide a little bit more flavor than the little weird cubes that aren't natural. And of course, our Weber grill. It's really all you need for this chimney is a little bit of newspaper. You know, the kind that you get a couple times a week, but you never signed up for. And then it just kind of sits in your garage or the recycling bin until you realize that you need it. And then voila, you have some newspaper. Just kind of crumple it up loosely. You don't want to do it too tight because then the air can't go through it. And then you're going to light it. If it's producing an alarming amount of smoke and you're kind of worried that your neighbors might call the police or fire department on you, then you're doing it right. Next, I'm going to go soak these in some water, which will make sure that they give off plenty of smoke.
If the grill's too hot, the meat won't smoke, so we want it to be about 275. Therefore, I'm going to close the vents for a little bit just to suffocate the fire. I'm putting the meat on the indirect side of the grill, away from the charcoal, but still under that vent on the cover. That will ensure that the meat doesn't cook too quickly and the smoke can pass right over it. You may be asking yourself, geez Dave, did you forget to put the wood chips in? You know, the thing that causes smoke? And you'd be right. I'm waiting for an internal temp of 165. After that, I'll cover it up in foil and let it cook for another hour or so.
Pick an area where it's about halfway in. Make sure there's enough airflow. And we go like this.
Again, I'm trying to keep the grill at 275 and it's just really not cooperating, and we're waiting for an internal temp of the meat of 195. Our beef has reached an internal temp of 195, so it's time to cut it into the quote-unquote burnt ends, cover it in some brown sugar and barbecue sauce, and throw it back on the grill. Alright, time to put these in the grill.
Cool. Alright, So the last step is to just put the meat on and let all this wonderfulness caramelize around these ends until they become burnt.
Once the meat is nice and tender and caramelized, they're done.
Well, those look horrible.
You can eat it like a sandwich or just use a toothpick or your hands.